Hey guys, OGalbina here, bringing you guys another Draft League movie. Today, we're going to be going over my Emerald Open. Oh my gosh, no way I started recording and I don't remember which number. Emerald Open V, which I think means 5 in Roman numerals. So this is the 5th iteration of Emerald Open. I've played in every one since I think Emerald Open 2 or 3 or whatever it is. This is an ADV Draft League tournament. It's one of the biggest, or I think actually the biggest Draft League tournament prize pool wise. I think the prize pool got up over $1,000 this time, so pretty cool stuff. The guys who run this, and Kaz and Keegan is like the main guys, Scraff as well, I'd consider one of the main guys for this. Really do put in a lot of hard work and really do a good job at running this this tournament and the scene, so I always enjoy playing in it, and I figured, hey, why not? Let's show off our run here and give you guys a little something to watch on this Friday evening. So if you guys do enjoy today's Draft League movie and you want to see more of our tournament runs and our full league runs that aren't being uploaded to YouTube normally on Wi-Fi, be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 10k subs and I'd really appreciate it, and I'd really appreciate your help in reaching that goal. That being said, I think we can kind of just jump right into it. I do want to go over our team really quick. I will kind of give a preface. I am no ADV draft master. I have uploaded a fair bit of ADV onto the channel just over the years, but it's definitely a format I play once or twice a year pretty casually. So if my analysis of why I've drafted things or different turns or whatever it may be isn't as squeaky clean as some of the other ADV guys, that's why, but I think I know enough to at least upload a video and give some kind of value to the commentary behind it. But going into the draft, I know we were later in the draft, forget the exact number, and coming around, the best mon left on the board that I felt comfortable using was going to be Tyranitar. One of the best Pokemon in Gen 3 OU, if not the best, but very solid still in draft. One upside and downside is we're going to be a team that always functions in Sandstream, so I think it's important to also have mons that aren't just like, you know, absolutely crippled by sand being up at all times, as it does chip away at the opposing sets, which is great considering that lefties is one of like the 3 viable items in ADV. But Tar is pretty darn versatile, right? Very often you're gonna see like kind of like your Rock Slide, Dragon Dance, Earthquake, and then some hidden power choice, flying bug, whatever it might be. But you'll also often see choice band. You'll also often see like mixed tar with pursuit, or just full special tar, things like that. If cool moves like T-Wave, it's very, very versatile, very, very strong for this tier and for this generation. And while it can be pretty slow even after Dragon Dance, getting a couple up is very possible and very viable. So really strong Pokemon, fun to build around, and I drafted one of its best partners, in my opinion, that has seen a bit of a fall off in ADV draft recently, and that's going to be Gengar. Now, Gengar doesn't function the same way that it does in, you know, really Generation 4 onwards. So this is the last gen in which it kind of acts like this. In the sense of, one, you don't have Stab. You do in Shadow Ball, but it's physical this gen, right? Because the physical special split wasn't a thing until Generation 4. So it's physical, so you have good coverage, Thunderbolt, Ice Punch, Fire Punch, things of the sort, Psychic, Giga Drain, things like that. So good coverage, but really Gengar is used a little bit more defensively, as a pivot, as a spin blocker, as a pivot into the fighting types that Tyranitar might not like. It's here to spread status with Thunderbolt, or Thunder Wave and Will-O-Wisp, and it's here to put good general damage and potentially even get off a big boom. Now, again, 65 base attack, not very strong, even if we max it out, but when we take into account how Explosion works in this generation, it really is an absolute nuke on anything that does not resist it. Types that are going to typically resist it, Rock, Steel, we have coverage for, and Ways of Beating. So, cool thing to note. Good spin blocker, pairs well with T-Tar because it beats a lot of the fightings in the tier, or at least deters them from clicking fighting moves so freely. Now, with Gengar being a great spin blocker, I wanted to grab a good spiker, and I grabbed my favorite in the tier, and it's going to be Glalie. Big Glalie, a very, very common round 3 pick in a lot of these tournaments and these drafts and things of the sort, because there isn't a lot of spikes, but spikes is so, so important in ADV draft. So it's one of the best around, and while its stats are a little bit middling, this is Gen 3. Everything's a lot weaker, right? So we can kind of get away with this 80 spread across the board. Really, we're going to be running Spikes, Ice Beam, Earthquake, and then Boom. Maybe a hidden power swapped out for either Earthquake or Boom or something of the sorts. I've run Taunt before, but Taunt's not very good in Gen 3. It's very, very short in duration. I believe only 2 turns, counting the first turn that you click it. So, all things to note. But I think Glalie, while simple, and while it looks very underwhelming, is very, very good at its job. And Spikes plus Tar and Sand is really, really going to wear down teams. I also wanted to get a fighting type. I think fighting types are incredibly important in ADV. Pretty much any ADV draft I've seen that's done well has had an elite fighter, and there's a lot of them, thankfully. And I drafted one that I haven't particularly used up to this point. A little bit more of a bulky option in Hariyama. Hariyama has 2 great abilities in Thick Fat and Guts that we can flex between. Guts deterring status, as there's a lot of it flying around in the gen. Thick Fat giving me an ice resist and a fire resist, which is always going to be nice. But what Hariyama offers differently to other fighting types, because right, we're strong, we click strong cross chops and focus punches if needed. We can bulk up, we can do a ton of things. But really, it's this knockoff move, and I thought knockoff was a cool idea. Our team is really predicated on a lot of passive damage. We have Sand, we have Willow / like status from Gengar, we have spikes from Glalie. If we can knock off leftovers off of opposing Pokemon, it is going to make our job so much easier in chipping them down into range for T-Tar to set up a DD and win the game, which I think is really nice. So knockoff is a really cool quality that Hariyama has. Obviously, it's a very weak move in Gen 3, 20 base power, and it's special. It's not there for the damage on the psychic types. It's there to get rid of lefties and things of the sort. Next up, I grabbed Blastoise. I wanted bulky water. It gave me a couple really, really important resistances, but also give me a spinner. I don't want spikes on my side as much as other people don't want spikes on their side. So that's what Blastoise does here. It also gets cool tech like Roar. You need a good Roarmon and ADV because of Baton Pass. So I think that Blastoise is a pretty darn good one, deterring those types of shenanigans and things of the sort. Now, going into the next round, I actually had a decent amount of points. We've budgeted our draft picks very well, and I looked at the top of the board. I saw a Pokemon that I've never used, but I hate playing, and I think fits really, really well with this team up to this point. And that's going to be Dugtrio. That's not Sandvale Dugtrio. That is Arena Trap Dugtrio coming to the game, which I think is really, really cool alongside Pokemon like T-Tar, Gengar that have very specific switch-ins and counterplay. We have Spikes. We knock off leftovers. We have Sand Up. Those things are going to be make it very easy for Choice Band Dugtrio to come in and just trap and kill them with Earthquake. And if we can do that, the rest of our team is going to thrive. Pokemon like Gengar, Pokemon like T-Tar don't appreciate the random bulky steals that might run around, right? And I could go on and on what Dougie can trap. Really, a lot of fast offense teams really struggle with Dougie too, just because I'm faster. There's no Scarf, so either you live the Earthquake or you die to me, right? Like, I guess it's a very simple way of putting it. But another cool thing is Dougie with Sand means that people can't kind of like endure and Salic to be faster than my Dougie after I click Earthquake, because they'll just die to Sand unless they, are immune to Sand, which is a whole nother issue, obviously. But yeah, I thought that was pretty darn cool. Definitely big on Dougie here. I think that we got it very late, and it fits the team incredibly well, and kind of like helps us really facilitate those end games. Next up, I drafted my Raikou check. Every team needs a Raikou check. I do have Dougie to trap Raikou, but if it gets up a sub or whatever it might be, I need something that switches into Raikou and beats it. The best Pokemon on the tier, and I went with the tried and true Meganium. I always go Meganium for this role. It checks it really, really well with Spadef. We take HP Ices really, really well. We can go Resto Chesto stuff if we're worried about Toxic and things of the sort. But really just a solid Raikou check, can spread leeches, and it also gives me a ground resist, which I don't have up to this point, which I think is important. So yeah, and then lastly, just 2 points left. Wasn't really anything in the tier that was actually worth getting, so I drafted Dragonair. I'll be honest, the only reason I drafted Dragonair is because one time I saw Kaz shoot Keegan with a Dragonair like 3 years ago. That shit was funny, so maybe I could do that. It does get DD, but that's about it. So, yeah, that's going to be the draft. Let's just jump right into our first pools game. Alrighty, here we are with our first game of pools against Dozoku here. They have a team consisting of Aerodactyl, Lantern, Fortress, Arcanine, Mischievous, Meganium, Primate, and Dunsparce. Definitely an interesting build here for sure. Headlined by the Aerodactyl, which is actually a big issue to our team. I don't have great consistent rock resist. Really, it's just Hariyama, which is obviously weak to flying. So that rock resist isn't great. Hariyama's kind of the opposing T-Tar check, right? So that can obviously be very, very scary. Blastoise can kind of take it on, and Dougie does not count as an Aerodactyl resist. So gonna have to be very, very careful about that guy. The rest of the team is pretty darn manageable. Primate can be a little bit annoying. Really quickly, the team that we have in this matchup in particular, we have a sub 3 attacks Gengar, just lead, Thunderbolt, Fire Punch, Giga Drain, Substitute. Does really well. If we can force some switches, we're going to be in a good spot. I have a sub DD Tyranitar as well. Mostly the sub on something like Dunsparce if we can punish it. Really, I only need Rock Slide and Hidden Power Flying as coverage in this battle, so completely fine with kind of going sub for niche instances. Or say I'm in a position where I get up a Dragon Dance, Mischievous comes in because it knows I'm physical DD. I can sub on that thing pretty freely. We have a Fizdef, Blastoise, Surf, Ice Beam, Rapid Spin, Toxic. Pretty simple. Spikes, 3 attacks, Glalie, Hidden Power, Fire, Explosion, and Ice Beam. HP Fire, obviously, for the Fortress. Choice Band, Dugtrio, Earthquake, Rock Slide, Sludge Bomb, and Hidden Power, Ghost. And then we have Guts, Bulk Up, Hariyama with Brick Break, Rock Slide, Hidden Power, Ghost, and bulk up, obviously. That being said, we can kind of jump right into the battle. We are going to lead off with our Gengar. We see a lead prime up here. I am just going to sub. It lets me scout and see if this thing does have HP Ghost. It does indeed have HP Ghost, so good to know. This could potentially be banded. I do know that my Hariyama takes this hit very, very well, as I am bulky, and there's no stand up, so I can kind of get a little bit of leftovers recovery. Next up, the Meganium is going to come out, and I'm fine with this. There's not much that this thing can do to immediately threaten me. It sets up Reflect, but we're the more reliable Brick Break, not for that reason, more so for the reason that it doesn't miss like Cross Drop does, and it has more PP, which is good into Pokemon like Misdreavus. So we do get Toxic, which procs our Guts, and I'm going to be able to make a nice mid-ground click here on the Misdreavus, doing half to it on a switch in with Rock Slide, allowing me to 2-hit KO, which is really, really nice when we're on a timer. Kind of just using Hariyama to come in here and break and do a ton of damage. Out comes Arrow here this next turn. I decided to save this as I do know that this is a pretty likely HP Flying that is banded, and it does confirm, or it does need to be banded to kill me, and that does confirm it is banded. But I know I can't get flinch for that. I'm going to click a mid-ground Ice Beam, pick off the Meganium. Out comes to Dunsparce right here as I do pivot back out into Hariyama as we see a substitute from the Dunsparce, making me think this is some kind of like glare cheese, as I am just going to go ahead and break it sub, as Headbutt does pop. It is slower than our Hariyama, so also good to know, which means our D-Char will definitely outspeed it and be able to sub on it, so all good information. Arcanine comes out right here, still takes 41 due to our Guts boost here, as we do a ton of damage, bring that thing down to 65 after leftovers, allowing us to guarantee trap this thing with Dugtrio, as we got any little bit of chip off, killing it with Earthquake in the process. Out comes Aerodactyl, and I said this is the time to sack Glalie. No reason for Glalie at this point. It loses to literally everything minus Dunsparce, which we can boom on. And this is going to give me a free switch to my Blastoise and give me more opportunities to throw off attacks and not get Rock Slide flinched. Out comes the Dunsparce right here. I don't want to let this thing sub for free and be annoying again, so I am going to go ahead and Toxic it here, as Glare does come out, making the arrow a little bit more scary, but nothing that we can't handle. As T-Tar's going to switch out here, as I don't expect this thing to want to go for a second Glare. We do get that play correct here, and from here we're actually in a really good position. We can just sub up in this thing's face. We know that this thing is Substitute, Glare, and Headbutt. That's all we know so far, and we know that we can kind of set up on this whatever it wants to go for. So I am going to go ahead and DD here in the Primate. Hindsight, the second turn, I probably should have just DD'd again. But I didn't think it mattered too much, to be honest with you, as I do Hidden Power Flying. We OHKO Primate from that range pretty much always. Out comes Arrow. Arrow is faster than me, but we will kill it with a Rock Slide. If we connect, we do not connect. But I do know that this is banded Aerodactyl, so this does put my opponent in a pretty tough position, as I am going to pivot out into my Gengar. Reminder, we are Levitate, obviously, this generation. This is pre-Generation 6, whenever that changed, Generation 7. I totally forget. I think it's Gen 7. We're going to build sub on the Dunsparce sack right here. There's probably not much this thing can do to us. Maybe it's Shadow Ball. I'm not sure if it gets at this gen or Hidden Power Ghost. It turns out to be Pursuit, which does not even break our sub. And we're going to be able to end this exchange with the sub as the Dunsparce goes down to the passive damage. Gengar's going to go ahead and click Thunderbolt. Lives on an imaginary Focus Sash here, as I do just go ahead and sack my Gengar this turn. No reason to hard switch out, just to save a little bit of diff. I'm going to go into Blastoise. Worst case scenario, T-Char would have to clutch up. There'd have to be a lot of flinches with Rock Slide for my opponent to win this game. Thankfully, they don't get the pair flinch here, and we're going to be able to knock out the Aerodactyl and take home the victory 3-0 in this battle. So pretty good start to the tournament. Everybody kind of did their job and played well, and we kind of saw the plus side of something like Dougie, which is really cool. So yeah, and T-Char went crazy other than him missing his move that he shouldn't be missing. But other than that, good win. Let's jump into the next game. Alrighty, game 2 of pools, and we're going against Kaif, a very, very solid player in their own right, and just kind of the standard draft league scene. They've been doing really well over the last year, and they definitely have a really scary team. It's consisting of Raikou, Milotic, Dragonite, Donphan, Machamp, Sableye, Ninjask, and Chinchou. The Raikou is a really, really big issue. Always going to be a scary mon, even with something like Meganium on the team, which is a solid check. It is a check at best. It is a short-term answer. Now we do also have our Dougie, but where that becomes a little bit more finicky is this Ninjask in this matchup. Ninjask can kind of eliminate Raikou's weakness to Dougie as long as it finds positions to Baton Pass Speed Boost into it, because Speed or BP is allowed in ADV draft as long as it's just one source. So they can't SD Pass plus Speed Pass. It has to be one or the other, but it's something to keep in mind. So our Dougie isn't as clear of an answer, which puts our Meganium under a ton of stress, especially because Meganium is probably one of our only answers to Milotic. Milotic is really difficult for us to break, so we got to be careful about that. Pokemon like Dragonite and Machamp can get really out of hand really fast. Machamp in particular with Speed Boost passed to it. Dragonite in general is just a very strong Pokemon into our team. And yeah, Pokemon like Donphan are annoying. They can spin potentially, do some annoying things like that. So yeah, that being said, let's jump into it. Oh, so I guess I should probably tell you the team I have. Really quickly, we do have Lead Gengar again. You're going to see a pattern. I really like Lead Gengar. We are Thunderbolt, Ice Punch, Psychic, and Destiny Bond in the set. Just good lead attacker, strong, and can kind of flip the tables with some Destiny Bond stuff later in the game. You have a DD, 3 attacks, leftovers, turrets are Rock Slide, Dragonite, Hidden Power Flying, and Earthquake, HP Flying for that Machamp. Earthquake for pretty much an Oko on Raikou, and Rock Slide for just general stab. Really strong here. We are Soft Sand, Dougie. I forget which role it gave us a kill. I know Soft Sand is worse. The type boosting items are worse in older gens, but it was for something specifically. I don't remember. Maybe it was a guaranteed Oko on Raikou for some amount of HP. I forget. There was a reason for it though. But Toxic and Protect can be really annoying. Good way to stall out some mons, get them in range of EQ and Rock Slide, which is nice. Then we have leftovers, just Fizz, Death Blaster, Surf, Ice Beam, Roar, and Toxic. This is going to be our designated Roar Pokemon, but it is also stretched very thin because it is supposed to be our Dragonite check as well. Gonna have to be very, very careful about that. Next up, we have Glalie, just mixed 3 attacks, Spikes, Ice Beam, Explosion, Earthquake, and Spikes. Pretty simple. And then we have a 3 attacks, Leech Seed, Meganium, Giga Drain, Leech Seed, Hidden Power, Ice, and Earthquake. That being said, let's go ahead and finally actually jump into it. So we do see a Ninjask lead. I am going to go ahead and lead off my Gengar. I have a pretty free Thunderbolt. Not much this thing can do to like immediately threaten me, as we do see a substitute pop here, guaranteeing a speed boost, not a protect just yet, as the Baton Pass does come out into Raikou. So this is another instance in which it's like, okay, we can't really position ourselves to trap the Raikou. It's not forced to like sub or anything here, because if Dougie comes hard out as a Calm Mind, it's just going to die to a Hidden Power Ice. Hidden Power Ice does not 2-hit KO Meganium, which is really nice. I'm going to go ahead and pop a Leech Seed into this Raikou in order to stay healthy and be able to chip this thing down pretty considerably. As I Earthquake this next turn on Ninjask coming back out, I'm like, damn, tough position. This Ninjask is going to find really, really annoying positions to get up subs and Baton Passes as long as I have Meganium as my check to Raikou. It pretty much always does. Hidden Power Flying is going to pop into Blastoise as I do Roar right here. Have to kind of come hard out into that in order to stop it. Thankfully, we get a nice roll in Donphan as I throw for Toxic. My load comes in. This tells me this is very likely going to be a Refresh, but that's fine because it does give us a free turn. And I get into my Glalie in order to get up some spikes and kind of actually pressure this team a little bit more. As Ninjask does come hard out right here. It's a very aggressive play, but smart. I'm not going to go ahead and Ice Beam the Milotic. There's no reason. I do Ice Beam with Glalie right here as I want to at least prevent this thing from getting a full sub pass out into something as I go hard into my Blastoise. So I am kind of forced to play a little bit of this game with the Ninjask right here and make sure that I'm popping its sub always. As Machamp is going to come out here on an Ice Beam, only take 28, so really, really bulky Machamp as I am forced out here again into my Blastoise. As this thing does bulk up, it's at +2 speed, it can pretty much Oko the rest of my team other than this Blastoise, as Low Kick does pop, which is nice, a little bit less strong than Cross Chop, as Dragonite comes out here. Now, I'm going to stay in here and take a Thunder. And this might seem a little tough, and again, I don't really have the answer for this. Blastoise is so important in this game, right? This Ninjask can still find opportunities to sub-pass. This is my Roarmon, that Machamp is potentially game-ending if it does get a sub-pass to it again. It gets us, or just even speed pass to it again. Same thing with Raikou. My Meganium is super, super vulnerable to potentially losing to that Pokemon. So, I stay in to take this hit. I'm physically defensive. I am a Blastoise check, so in my mind, okay, I stay in. I Ice Beam. If they switch into Milo, I can adjust accordingly. But they show the Thunder here, and the idea for them Thundering here is if I put damage on Blastoise, it's going to make Passive with Ninjask better, it's going to make Pokemon like Machamp better, things of the sort. So I totally, Pokemon like Donphan even better. So I totally understand it. I do go ahead and get paired by this Thunder as I throw off a Toxic. I think this is the issue. I think this is my bad play, actually. If I'm going to stay in, knowing I can't switch in case they stay in, I should be Ice Beaming. This Milotic does have Refresh, so just getting the Ice Beam chip is fine, even if I'm giving them a free turn. I don't need full health on Glalie to switch into it, so I can get into Glalie, either get up another Spike, or potentially Boom and get a KO. I think that was the big issue here in hindsight, now that I'm watching back this game for the first time in a little bit over a month. I probably just should have Ice Beamed. If I put damage on this, it's at least somewhat worth a trade, but regardless, taking damage on Blastoise is a little tough. Maybe I had a different play. But this was my D-Knight check, right? So it's kind of hard to make a play otherwise. It does show Dragon Dance as well, so it's going to be mixed DD. I know a lot of Dragon Knights do run similar sets. Is it Brick Breaks and just Oko's my Glalie. So this is a really bad position. I get out into my Gengar right here. We do live some hidden power flying rolls, as we do live one right there, and be able to Ice Punch and take out this demon, but really, at what cost? We lost our Blastoise, basically. We lost our Gengar after this hidden power right here, because I can't let it sub. It's getting more leftovers. And I lost my Glalie. So really, really bad trade from my end. I am just going to kind of spam Rock Slide, as this Ninjask is going to find a ton of opportunities to be so very annoying. As another sub pops right here, I'm going to break it sub right here. And from here, we have to see a Baton Pass. Hindsight, maybe just an Earthquake is a better play than just Toxicking, because this thing has guts. I guess maybe I was expecting something like my Milotic to come in, but really that'd be silly. Maybe something like Donphan. I am going to be able to go ahead and protect right here. As Low Kick pops in, I don't think Low Kick should really be able to kill me. I'm going to Low Kick or switch out into my Blasters here. It's going to take a little bit more damage, a little bit more toxic here, as I believe I click Earthquake on a bulk up here. Hoping I live, hoping I put a little bit more damage on this thing. Can't really let it bulk up for free. Thankfully the play works out, and we kill it due to the poison. So poisoning the Guts Machamp, I guess, kind of worked out, but not a ton. Meganium's going to switch out here on this Milotic. There is still a universe where T-Tar can win if it gets up a DD, but we need to chip the Donphan in, and I'm really struggling to see how I force the Donphan in right now. The way I really see it is if I can chip down this Milotic and force the Donphan to revenge my Dougie after it traps Milotic. So I do come in here with Meganium. I start Hidden Power Icing, and again, I actually don't remember doing this. I think this was very silly. Ninjask is at 13%. There's no reason to not Giga Drain. There's no Grass Resist that doesn't die to Giga Drain. I think maybe I was just tilted at this point, because I really don't see why I'm not Giga Draining. Yes, Ninjask 4 times versus Giga Drain, but it's also a Ninjask, and it's at 13%. So there's quite literally no reason to not be Giga Draining here. I do click it right here. Maybe Leech Seeding into Giga Draining was smart. We did miss Leech Seed, which is annoying, but again, not the end of the world. This thing's down at 47, so we have it pretty darn chipped, and if we were doing this a little earlier, we'd be able to put in a little bit more of an uncomfortable spot. Again, there, the Hidden Power Ice is just extremely unnecessary. Extremely unnecessary, so Ninjask's going to come out here, and you're going to see it just dies to Giga Drain. So, completely pointless plays on my end, as I do die right here to the Poison. No, not just yet. Gonna die to the Surf. There we go. And from here, it's go out into Tyranitar, hopefully DD up. Maybe I can get some flinches. If I can get some flinches and really chip down this Donphan, there's maybe a universe where Dougie can win. But we're going to need some pretty considerable luck as we Dragon Dance and get crit right here. Chances are game was already over. I was definitely annoyed after that. There was like win pass. Like we DD with Tar, we get like a crit or a flinch on this Milo, and then we can put some damage on the Dougie or Donphan and maybe win. But again, we need flinch on Milo, like a flinch into an Earthquake on Donphan, and then maybe Dougie can win. And even then, it's not looking super likely. So just kind of a game where, I don't know, maybe I didn't play into the Baton Pass well. But I found it very overbearing in this battle for sure. And my Blasters is just stretched very thin in this battle. So yeah, tough one. We're 1-1 in pools, and let's move on to the next. Alrighty, our third pools game is against Huge McNasty, which is a name and a half. They have a pretty cool team consisting of our Tyranitar, so good to know. They have a T-Tar too. Feraligatr, Espeon, Marowak, Magneton, Lapras, Zangoose, and Linoone. Now, in this matchup, big threats, T-Tar is always scary. I think DDHP flying is really scary depending on how much chip they get on Pokemon like Blastoise and Hariyama. It can always just kind of come in and set up on the game. Espeon can be annoying with Baton Pass shenanigans. Feraligatr, not super worried about. Marowak, I actually do not switch into, so I need to make sure that guy doesn't get free switch-ins via sub and Baton Pass and things of the sort, as it can be really powerful into our team. Don't have great switch-ins if it is like just rocking a random HP Ghost. For our Gengar, who is otherwise immune to its stab, which is good to know. As for the team that we ended up bringing in this battle, we had a Spikes 3 Glalie, this time in the lead slot, so no more lead Gengar in this one. Earthquake, Spikes, Explosion, and Ice Beam. Pretty simple. Lumberry, T-Tar, Rock Slide, Earthquake, Brick Break, Dragon Dance. I have Lumberry in the case of like things like Thunderwave Espeon, Magneton, Toxic Lapras, things of the sort. Even Thunderwave Linoone, if that for some reason pulls up, I think can... Lum can be really nice in that regard. Brick Break gives me an Oko on T-Tar if I need it. We have a Dugtrio with Choice Band, or Earthquake Rock Slide is really the only moves that we actually need. We have Charm for like a tech in which like we want to trap something and lower its attack, so we find a setup opportunity with something like T-Tar or Hariyama if we need to, but don't super imagine that mattering. We'll see. Cool tech, and then Toxic is nice. Then we have a Leftovers Thick Fat Hariyama is going to be very physically defensive here. Brick Break, Hidden Power Ghost, Bulk Up, and Knock Off. Knock Off to get rid of items. I know it does not do damage. Don't yell at me in the comments. And then we have a 3 attacks, pretty bulky Gengar, Fire Punch, Thunderbolt, Ice Punch, Will-O-Wisp. Pretty simple set. Really strong here offensively. And then Fist Up, Blastoise with Surf, Roar, Toxic, and Hidden Power Grass. Gonna be our main roar in this game to make sure we're not getting baton passed on like we did against Cave. Alright, that being said, let's jump into it. So we're gonna lead Glalie, we're gonna see lead for Alligator. Nothing this thing does immediately threatens me. So I'm just gonna get up a spike here. If it does show to be slower and go for a substitute here, sub Leftovers. I don't want to boom just to break sub, so I do just go hard out into Blastoise resisting SDs, but there's nothing this thing can do to really threaten us at +2. So I am just gonna go ahead and go for a roar. Out comes Espeon, and again, I'm kind of in another position where I really need to roar. I can't let this thing sub and then baton pass out, get free switch-ins, whatever it might be. Can get really out of hand really fast, or Calm Mind and then baton pass out or something of the sort. So, yeah, definitely annoying. As we do go ahead and surf this Marowak as it is going to come in. We take a big damage from Psychic, by the way, before that. Toxic into the Lapras, as Thunderbolt isn't going to quite kill us, which is really nice. Blastoise is basically dead, but it has disrupted a good amount, roaring some things around, getting this Lapras pretty nice and chipped, and preventing any shenanigans from occurring. This is going to be Hariyama's time to shine as we do come in, and this is just going to be a Brick Break turn. We do 53% as a Toxic, which I think is really, really bold, considering we could have just been Guts, and then everything would die from here. Espeon comes out, and again, I don't want to let this thing sub and BP, so I do kind of have to sack off Hariyama here. Just going to spam Hidden Power Ghost. No reason not to. Always break sub. Keeps this thing low, and if I can ensure this thing never has a sub, I can always just come in and revenge it with Dugtrio. So a little bit easier way of handling, the sub shenanigans this time. We do die to Psychic here. Ain't no chance we reliving that, but this does allow for the Dugtrio trap. I'm gonna come in, click Earthquake. Good night, Espeon. Another thing about my opponent's team to note is that they do not have a ground immunity. So, Choice Band Earthquake is a very, very viable endgame, depending on how chipped we get things. Outcomes for Alligators, we get into Glalie here, get a little Leftovers, and we're just going to boom this turn. It's pretty much a certified KO on anything not T-Tar, but T-Tar comes in and takes Spike, boom, and then gets tracked by Dougie. So, great for me. They make a good play going into Marowak here as I go into Dougie. I make an aggressive play into Gengar on a double edge, which is great as I don't take any damage, and I can just pick off the Marowak here. The Noon comes out this next turn. It is going to go ahead and get Leftovers back, so I feel very comfortable just going for a Will-O-Wisp here, as it does end up belly drumming here, taking a little bit of chip from Burn, and then just dying to Thunderbolt afterwards. So, crisis averted, didn't get Lanooned. Out comes T-Tar. All I got to do is hit a Will-O-Wisp here, and we're going to be in a very, very good position. Especially being that this showed Leftovers. If it was Lum, could have gotten a little bit finicky depending on what was going on. Rock Slide does pop into Gengar as we eat that up for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. In this upcoming turn, I am just going to pivot out into T-Tar as a Dragon Dance does come out. Don't want to let this thing set up to +1,000,000, crit through my team, or whatever it might be. As +1 EQ is not going to come close to killing me, as I do just Brick Break, knock out the opposing T-Tar in the mirror, and win this game and move to a 2-1 record here in pools, which is obviously very nice. Going into the final game, we were actually clinched. We're playing CG12, who is another name I know from the draft league scene, like standard current gen stuff like that. He's a really scary team. This game, if we win, we have the chance to potentially get a bye in top 128 or whatever it is. I think it's top 128. I'm not sure what round number it is, or if it's top 256, whatever it is. The first round of brackets, we would potentially get a buy-in if we can beat CG12. So we're going to jump into that and see if we can grab the dub. Alrighty, here we are in the game against CG12. Again, we are both 2-1. No, he was 3-0 coming into this game. He had beaten Kaif, so he'd beaten everybody in our pool. Playing really well. Really scary team consisting of Metagross, Charizard, Vaporeon, Alakazam, who's a demon, by the way, Glalie, Nidoking, Hitmonchan, and Haunter. As for the team that we ended up bringing this game, I lied. We're once again back to lead Gengar. We're Psychic, Thunderbolt, Will-O-Wisp, and Substitute. We have a Sub-Toxic, Rock Slide, Earthquake, Soft Sand Trio. I have a Lumberry DD Tar. Lum just makes sense in a Pokemon like Alakazam. Don't get T-Waved kind of thing. Don't get, status by really anything, hopefully. But yeah, we're Rock Slide, Earthquake, DD, Hidden Power, Flying. Pretty simple set, pretty similar to what we've got in every single game up to this point, actually. Leftovers, Fizz, Def, Blastoise, speaking of the same as every game. Surf, Toxic, Protect, and Rapid Spin. Spikes 3, Glalie, Ice Beam, Spikes, Explosion, and Earthquake. And then 4 attacks, Hariyama here, actually not bulk up. We are Thick Fat, once again, Brick Break, Earthquake, Rock Slide, and Knockoff for those pesky items. That being said, let's jump into it. We're going to see lead Gengar into lead Charizard. I actually don't switch in this thing well, so I am going to elect to kind of just trade, get off big damage with Thunderbolt in order to keep this thing super low. It does put it into Blaze, which means we are going to die to a fire move. Out comes Dougie. I'm going to expect them to want to save this thing, obviously not touching the ground, not going to be trapped by Dougie. So I'm going to go ahead and sub, get a Toxic off on this Vaporeon. Sub was also a nice mid-ground in case they did want to stay in. I didn't like lose my Dougie for no reason. I'm going to switch into Glalie here, and that's a pretty unfortunate turn. All good, unfortunately. So we are going to unfortunately just die to the Surf, which we would have either gotten Boom Pressure or Spike Pressure there, which either of which would have been great. But unfortunately, not going to get either of those off as we get crit by Surf, and crit is double damage, obviously, in old gens. And now I'm going to kind of be forced to burn my Hariyama on this Vaporeon as well. Whereas otherwise, I could have boomed and forced it out, dealt with it later, or something of the sorts. Again, not too big of a deal. Earthquake there, expecting potentially Nidoking pivot onto Blastoise here on another Surf, trying to keep as much health on Hariyama as humanly possible, as it still has a job to do, despite being very, very low. Out comes Glalie, and I'm going to Protect here, because this screams Boom to me, but I think I had this backwards. I think this is an attack turn, and the turn after is a Boom turn in hindsight, because they want to get at least a Spike out of this, and that was super, super telegraphed that they were going to go for a Boom. So tough one for me. I think I just made a really bad play there. I get revenge by Charizard, despite the Glalie dying. Out comes Dougie. We're going to miss Rock Slide. And now this game is super, super over. It was already kind of over. We were already in a terrible spot with us getting crit on our Glalie. But now it is extra, extra over. We do hit our second Rock Slide and knock out the Zard. So we're going to bring this down to at least a 3-0 at this point. But out comes Hitmonchan, which makes sense. And from this position, there's not much we can do into Hitmonchan. It is just going to kind of beat our T-Tar. Unless it misses Sky Uppercut, we can DD and potentially like win from here. But there's Mach Punch, which obviously very smart brain. They're going to be able to Mach Punch twice. They're not going to misclick. And unfortunately, we're going to drop this game. Again, not the end of the world. Don't think we played terrible. I think we got pretty unlucky. I think the plays with Blasters were really silly. I kind of like sacked my Blasters for no reason there. Whereas I could have just like surfed into Protected and had a Blastoise, which was pretty strong here into Pokemon like Metagross, Hitmonchan, Alakazam not so much, but you know, we'll deal with Alakazam when we got there. But yeah, tough one, but it'd be like that. Let's jump into the next one in our first game of pools. It's either 156 or 128. I forget which one. We'll keep referring as to either or. Alrighty, in top 256 or 128, whichever one it is, we are playing against Spider-Man, but spelled funny. They got a pretty scary team consisting of Raikou, so I got another Raikou game. Raikou, Swampert, Registeel, Claydol, Jumpluff, Heracross, Chansey, and Ariados. A couple of big threats here. Chansey is very annoying for Pokemon like Gengar and kind of forces me to have a specific prep for it that I typically wouldn't want to have. Raikou is very annoying as per usual. Swampert is a Pokemon I don't break all too well, to be honest with you, outside of Pokemon like Meganium. Same thing with Registeel, just generally annoying Pokemon. And Heracross is a big issue. I do not switch into Heracross at all. Gengar can take on Stabs, but even then if it's banned, it's just going to do it KO me. So, gotta be careful about that. But yeah, with that being said, let's look at the team we have. We have a 4-attacks Gengar, offensive this time though, in our lead, with Fire Punch, Ice Punch, Hidden Power, Grass, because it does a little bit more to Swampert, as it's 70 base power in this generation, and Focus Punch for the Chansey. Focus Punch is really just to kind of force a Soft Boiled turn, as we don't even actually 2-hit KO it, but forcing Soft Boiled turns is always nice, or just keeping it low if it doesn't want a Soft Boiled and then wants to like T-Wave on our Switch or whatever it might be. So, all good things to know. Solid Pokemon. If Chansey doesn't come, it's actually really powerful in this matchup, with just the top 3 moves. Then we have Choice Band Dougie. We are Earthquake, Rock Slide, Hidden Power, Ghost, and Aerial Ace. Aerial Ace is specifically for the Heracross. Earthquake, Rock Slide is obligatory, and then Hidden Power, Ghost is for Pokemon like the Claydol. DD, Lumberry, T-Tar. Who would have thought? Really, as long as we can chip the Swampert, this set can super win. Rock Slide, Hidden Power, Ghost, Earthquake, Dragon Dance. Simple, easy, get her done. Then we have Meganium. We're rocking with a Chesto Berry in this game. Razor Leaf, Hidden Power Ice, Earthquake, and Rest. Why are we Razor Leaf? Well, because we're Hidden Power Ice. This is also a great check to jump left, despite it obviously being a flying type, and can be really annoying to our team. So I like having the Hidden Power Ice to hit that and not be sub fodder for it. In case it is like some sub SD ship. Razor Leaf is just a high PP move. It's not Giga Drain, that we can spam a lot into this team that has double ground that Meganium is going to want to check. Earthquake is for Raikou. Rest is to get healthy, get off toxics, get off damage, things like that. Then we have a leftover Guts, Hariyama, Brick Break, Hidden Power, Ghost, Rock Slide, Bulk Up, simple stuff, Solomon, good spit F-wise in the matchup, and then Spikes, 3 Glalie, Ice Beam, Earthquake, Explosion, and Spikes. Let's jump into it. We're going to see lead Heracross in our Gengar, and as much as I don't want to sack my Gengar to Heracross immediately, if they're going to give me this trade, I'm going to take it. I'm just going to go ahead and click Fire Punch. It won't kill ever, but what it does is it allows me to reset tempo. I sack off my Gengar, but now I get into my Dugtrio for free, and I no longer have to worry about Heracross. So while I did sack my Heracross answer to it immediately, I don't have to worry about it anymore. Out comes Claydol right here. Just click Psychic on my Glalie coming in. And one of the benefits of Glalie is this is a spiker that it really bullies and beats down, as I do believe I click Ice Beam here just to punish them staying in. I know I can always just spike in Registeel's face, as it doesn't immediately threaten me. Spikes is going to pop here as the Registeel does miss Toxic, and if they're going to Toxic again, I'm getting out into my Hariyama, and I'm doing what I did in the first game of this video, and I'm going to break through because I'm Guts, and you didn't respect that. They are going to go ahead and protect this next turn as a Hidden Power Ghost, expecting Claydol to potentially come back in. They just protect here, and this turn I'll just Brick Break, get off 80%, just raw, as Substitute does not work. We are faster than it. We have a decent amount of speed in our Hariyama. All good things to note, as I double into my Dugtrio to keep health on Hariyama as well, and punish this Protect, so that we can come in and just revenge it from 33. We are Choice Band, so Dougie's going to be able to come in. Dougie wasn't super threatened by anything that they wanted to go for in that turn anyways, so yeah. Outcomes jump off, we're just going to go into Glalie as we do see a Swords Dance. Hindsight, I think maybe Meganium was the play. We do dodge a Sleep Powder here, but that's completely fine, or which is great for us. We're going to kick with an Ice Beam. Could have been annoying. I don't think we lost to it, but the Sleep Powder miss definitely was frustrating for my opponent, and I understand that. Out comes Raikou. I don't really have to worry about this thing. I can just kind of Earthquake. I don't super need this thing right now, as Swampert's going to be the pivot out here. I'm going to take an Earthquake, and while this does take a boom, this thing taking a boom is incredible for me. I don't break Swampert well. Killing this thing or getting it low is going to be really nice for the rest of my team. As you do just click Explosion, go onto my Dugtrio, and trap it. So Dugtrio has been putting on a masterclass in this game, picking up 3 kills up to this point. Claydol is going to be the pivot out. I'm just going to go into my Meganium. This thing doesn't really threaten Meganium at all, and I can kind of use Meganium a little bit more liberally now that I know I can always revenge the Raikou with my Dougie, as this is going to be leftovers, and I can always ensure this thing doesn't get a sub, regardless of the team member that I have out. As it does try and sub right here, doesn't get it off. Hidden Power only does 27, so not a very invested Raikou at all. We're just going to go ahead and kill this thing with an EQ. Then out comes Claydol, and I'll save you guys for the slow time because it's Razor Leaf. It's just very weak. Shout out to Razor Leaf, Meganium. As I do rest up here, we'll put it on hyper fast for the last couple turns. I'm sure you can see where this is going. We're going to go ahead and win pretty comfortably with Meganium, as it is max FDF and eats up anything Claydol wants to do. They can boom and kill me. It's fine. Diff doesn't matter, obviously. So yeah, we're going to win either top 256 or top 128. Whichever this is. I'm leaning on saying top 256. I think that's where this is at. We're going to go ahead and take home a dub, which is nice. Move on to the next round, as that was single elimination. I think I forgot to mention that. But that was lose and you're out. And it's like that for the rest of the way going forward. So we'll see what we can do. Let's jump into the next round. Alrighty, next up we're against Dusty Dusknoir here. And they have a really scary team. It consists of Raikou, Gengar, Gyarados, Donphin, Hypno, Omastar, Medicham, and Kabutops. The dual Gem 1 Fossil Core is really funny. I rock with that heavy. I think it's super silly. This is like a Meganium Masterclass game. It has a really, really good matchup here. Raikou can always be annoying. Gengar is Gengar. It's faster than a good majority of our team. It's hard for us to trap. Yeah, just generally really, really annoying Pokemon. Gyarados can super win if we get pressured a lot. And something to note with this team is I know that in the past they have been using a lot of Baton Pass Hypno. My Roar is Blastoise. My Gyarados check is also Blastoise. I don't know if I should have drafted a second Roar or whatever it is, but there's a lot of pressure on Blastoise once again, kind of like the Kaif matchup, so we're going to have to be careful in navigating that. Medicham never has switch-ins. It's one of my favorite ADV Pokemon. I think it is so fun to use if you can find positions to get it in, and the slow baton pass from Hypno is actually going to be a great means of doing so. So, really scary team. Let's take a look at the team that we have. Again, lead Gengar. We're Thunderbolt, Psychic, Will-O-Wisp, and Toxic. We have dual status here. Will-O-Wisp is going to be nice for the physical attackers, Pokemon like Gyarados, Pokemon like Medicham, things like that. Toxic is nice for pretty much anything else. Psychic hits the opposing Gengar. Thunderbolt just blows up Gyarados, which is obviously really nice. Yeah, it's all kind of just situational dependent things. We really just have Will-O-Wisp for Medicham, hindsight. But it's really nice to burn that thing because I do not have switch-ins to it. We have a pretty similar Meganium set to the last game. Hidden Power Grass, Earthquake, Leech Seed, and Rest. Resto Chesto. Max Spadef, pretty simple. We have a Soft Standard Trio, Earthquake, Rock Slide, Toxic, and Hidden Power Ghost. Lumberry Tar, Rock Slide, Earthquake, Hidden Power Ghost, and Dragon Dance. Fizzdef, Blastoise, Surf, Roar, Spin, and Hidden Power Electric for the Gyarados, and then Spikes 3 Glalie with a Lumberry, because I noticed they use a lot of T-Wave on their Hypno as well. I was kind of scouting their matches before up to this point to see. I think Scraf actually grabbed all their games for me, which was very nice of them. Shout out to Scraf. That's the GOAT. But yeah, let's jump into it. We do see lead Medicham and a lead Gengar. I'm completely happy with this. I'm going to miss my Will-O-Wisp on the Gengar, but thankfully it doesn't super matter, as you'll see, as I do just Psychic into the opposing Gengar. They're going to Psychic me as well, showing that they're pretty bulky. They took that a lot better than I took mine, as I'm just going to Psychic again into the Hypno slot. And here, I want to put a timer on this thing. This thing is a demon into me, and they've used this Pokemon really well. So putting it on a timer with Toxic means the less shenanigans that can occur, as T-Wave is going to pop into my Gengar, basically making it useless. I am going to go ahead and Thunderbolt here as it does show Reflect. So all good things to know. We've revealed 2 move slots, Thunder Wave and Reflect. We see a Meditate next, which is telling me this is full support. This is going to be full support on the Hypno. It's going to go ahead and Baton Pass out this next turn. I believe I do just go ahead and get up a, or click Ice Beam, try and do as much damage as possible, so it can't do this again. Gyarados is going to come out with already a +1, which means we have to go into Blastoise, or things are going to get really, really bad, really, really fast. Hidden Power Flying does a ton, as it's at +2. I am able to roar that thing out. Reason we roar instead of Hidden Power Electroking is because we do not kill with HP Electric from full, obviously. Destiny Bond's going to pop from this Gengar as I just go to sack my own Gengar, which is completely fine with me, as they try and Will-O-Wisp right here, which is very interesting. I guess expecting the pivot into T-Tar, but I think that's a really silly play and really a big risk. Unfortunately, I get parried here, so I don't get the kill with my Psychic, which is a little frustrating, but that's Pokemon, right? That's what pair is there for. That's why you click it. T-Tar's going to come out this upcoming turn. As I am Lumberry, I'm not worried about this thing Will-O-Wisping me. And Destiny Bond's right here, but I am just going to Dragon Dance. And so that we can make this Destiny Bond guarantee go away, I'm just going to go ahead and DD again. As I believe they just click Will-O-Wisp. They are going to miss, so they don't get the information that I'm Lum. But I am. I'm going to go ahead and just Hidden Power Ghost here. It's neutral click into Donphin in the back as well. It's not like we win at this point anyways, as I do have to switch out. Donphin is still at full HP, but it is forced into that Earthquake turn, because it can't really do anything else without just getting putting the team in a bad position if they get that play wrong. I'm going to Leech Seed into this Meditam switch in, getting a little bit of chip on it, and keeping Meganium a little bit healthier, which is obviously nice. We're just going to sack off our Blastoise. It doesn't really check Gyarados at this point anyways, other than at +1. If it gets it to +2 again, we're in for a bad time. And I go to Doug Trio and I revenge this guy with Earthquake. Now, I'm trying to think. I'm wondering if this is my best position, because I just sacked my best Gyarados answer, right? It is dead. My whole team loses to DD, HP Flying, Earthquake at this point. Out comes the Dougie, and Dougie, as good and annoying as it is it does just allow this Gyarados a free Dragon Dance. I know it's leftover, so I know I can Toxic it. Hindsight, maybe just staying in and Rock Sliding here and sacking this in order to get more chip off and punish a second DD was the move. Fortunately, I don't get that play correct. They DD again, and this is a roll to kill my T-Tar, I believe, and they get it here. And at this point, I don't have anything for a +2 Gyarados, right? I told you my Blastoise took 60%, and it was Fizzdef. It was the answer for this. So that crit didn't matter, obviously. Unfortunately, we're in a position where we are just going to lose the game. There's not much we can do into a +2/+2 Gyarados. We don't have enough turns in Sand to knock this thing out with Sandstorm. And even if we did, my opponent has a lot of tools left. Now, there's a universe where if that died and we have Meganium could have soloed everything, because this Hypno is going to be no attacks. We beat Donphan. If it was a Fossil in the back, Meganium actually could have totally 3v1 depending on what they had. Again, I have no idea what they had in the back. It could have been something completely different. I'd imagine it was one of the fossils, or it was Raikou, which we could also beat 1v1 depending on, you know, how things went. So tough one to go, way to go out, but I think I just did not position myself well into endgame Gyarados, and got punished for it. Got up a couple DDs, as it definitely can pretty easily, and we're unfortunately going to drop that one and get knocked out in what I believe is actually top 128. Yeah, it's definitely not top 64. I think that was top 128. Fun run. I had a fun team. This is like one of the first times I've done well in ADV without using Ments. So I'm definitely happy about that. And yeah, it was a fun tournament overall. Despite some, you know, tough losses in here. I think we went 500, so not too bad. Let me know what you guys think about uploading movies like this. I don't like always kill it in every league that I do on Showdown, or every tournament that I do on Showdown, and it always bums me out because I'm like, I can't get a movie out. But I felt like this one was like at least on the cusp of interesting games, good wins, things like that, to where you guys still want to see it. Let me know if you guys want to see more movies like this in the future. You know, where I don't necessarily go undefeated and win the whole thing, but you know, we get some good games out of it. Let me know what you think. Drop a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. See you guys in the next one. Later.